It is Wednesday. And you know what happens on a Wednesday here on Canuck Central? It's overrated, underrated. Yes, overrated, underrated, perfectly rated. You give us topics and we decide if they are one of those three things. Overrated, underrated, or perfectly rated. Josh will tell us tonight if he thinks we overrated Dune 2.
In IMAX.
In IMAX. Yes.
I loved it. I went and saw it on Sunday, and I honestly want to go back and watch it again in IMAX.
Yes.
Hey, come along at 10 o'clock tonight.
Tonight might be a little bit too late for me.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough.
IMAX is not sponsoring this, but it for that movie it felt worth it. You know, it felt worth it to go to the theater and experience it.
Yeah,
Just throwing that out there.
I didn't watch Dune 1 in theater at all.
Yeah.
Kind of hampered the experience.
Do you have like a home movie theater?
No.
No?
Do you know what I do?
Anything can be your home theater.
Yes.
You know, it's your home theater.
You
have
could have
a
bought
TV.
a surround sound system off some guy in a parking lot. I don't know.
No, I have a sound bar.
Did that ever happen here? There was like this is such a Woodbridge thing, I guess. But like you'd go to Best Buy and in the parking lot guys would be like, "Hey, you want a surround sound system?
Yeah.
Got one in my trunk."
A&B sound back in the day.
Yeah.
Some dude hanging out with like subwoofers.
I don't know if I trust this.
So,
But
yeah,
it's only $50, so maybe I will.
I don't have that.
Yeah. All right.
We'll start with this one from. I didn't know how to transition there. We'll start with this one from Keyshawn. Preferring to play a stumbling Vegas Golden Knights in the playoffs over a team that would be on a streak to get in, like the Minnesota Wild would be.
Okay. So Vegas or Minnesota, I think I'd still prefer Minnesota.
I would agree with you on that. I'd probably rather still play Minnesota because Vegas you're worried about in the playoffs more than you're worried about them getting to the playoffs. I'm more worried about them getting to the playoffs, but I'm worried about them in terms of like an opponent in the playoffs. I still do think though they are far more mortal than people believe.
Yes.
But
Like if they weren't the reigning Stanley Cup champions, you'd kind of just view them as a wild card team right now.
yeah.
I don't know. I think people would still put more credit into them just based on the players they have on their team.
Yeah, but also like Stone is injured, Hurdle's not going to be ready yet. They got some issues.
Hannafin hasn't had the desired effect just yet. Aiden Hill has calmed down after he was unreal to start the season. There's not a lot about Vegas that's going well right now. So I think it's honestly Vegas is pretty based on their results. They are being heavily overrated. Based on what they have on paper, they are being heavily overrated compared to what they've actually put on paper this season. Because, I mean, we ran the numbers earlier in the show. Basically, over the last 47 games, they're a 500 hockey team.
Yeah. 21, 22, 21, and 5.
That's more than half a season.
Yeah. It's a long time.
If the script was flipped and, well, I guess, if they started the first 47 games of the season being very mid and then went on a hot streak, you'd be like, oh, look at Vegas. They're coming on at the right time. But regardless, you're not thinking about the Vegas Golden Knights this way if they weren't the team with the track record that they have and the team that won the Stanley Cup last year.
Next one from Woodrow. Keeping Dakota Joshua out of the lineup until the playoffs start.
I mean,
that
that's
would be-
overrated.
yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
I mean, he's on a league minimum contract.
Yeah.
You don't get any cap savings.
You wouldn't get cap savings.
I guess $100K you'd save by sending him down.
Is it
by
well?
replacing him with somebody who's
the-
making less than he is.
Is the supposed benefit that it's like, hey, give him extra rest time?
Well, he's getting extra rest time because the hope had been he'd be ready by now. They had kind of hoped, and I wouldn't say it's been a setback. It's more about it's the progression or lack of progression with his injury. But he's going to play. Like he's like I thought, and this is something. It was an educated guess when we were asked when is he going to skate. The hope had been this week that he would have been skating with the team, and that just didn't come to pass. But I don't think he's that far away.
Next one from Mike. Sitting guys for load management down the stretch.
Underrated.
Well, it depends for who.
Yeah, I think there's some guys on this team that I think could use it.
Yes.
Let's say in this situation, it's like you're near the end of the season and you're like, okay, there's no way there will be any playoff movement. Like the Canucks are locked in a position. Do you sit one of the star players?
How many guys could you realistically sit, though?
Like, I guess not much.
Well, so the way I view it is during the year, you can maybe sit Myers another game. Now he's coming off an injury. Ian Cole,
Yeah.
right?
Ian Cole could be he could use a maintenance day or two.
Good luck telling JT Miller to sit down a game.
Yeah.
I think the only way you can sit down a couple of their top-end guys is that final game in Winnipeg. If they have, let's say for argument's sake, that they can't move up or down,
If there's nothing to play for, and
Nothing
it's
to play
essentially
for.
an exhibition game, yeah.
then I could see them. Now, because of the recalls, if they use all their recalls by the time they get there, they may only have so many options because you can't dress. I mean, if you got healthy guys, you got to dress 18 skaters and
Yeah.
the 2 goalies, right? So you have 2 extra defensemen and 1 extra forward. Those are the 3 spots that you can
Yeah.
kind of play. Maybe you go with 7D, for instance. But I can see that final game of the season in Winnipeg, they tell JT and Quinn to stay home, for instance.
They
Yeah.
should just send like 6 dudes to Winnipeg and be like, figure it out,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Could
We're
you
all going to
imagine?
rest. Have fun, she loves. Next one from Drew. Vasily Podkolzin in the NHL games he has played this season. Overrated or underrated?
I don't think it's overrated because I don't think we're sitting here and talking about him being this integral part of the team.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's underrated because he has no points in 8 games.
So he's perfectly rated.
Kind of, yeah. He's doing fine.
I feel as though some are overrating it, trying to convince themselves that Pods has shown a lot.
Well, I mean, we had people texting in earlier and saying, Colin from Caribou said, why not put Coles in the bumper spot on the power play?
He, of any left shot on the team, he probably would have maybe one of the more dangerous ones to put in the bumper spot. But I mean, 7 games without any points. It's hard for me to gush about the player. I've liked some things. I think he's come a long way from what I saw in training camp. But am I sitting here saying Podkolzin is the answer, or Podkolzin is going to play a big playoff role? I don't have any confidence necessarily in that. He could be 12th or 13th forward is pretty much what he's shown so far. So if you're telling me that you're thinking Pods is shown more than that to this point, then I'd say you're overrating him. Other than that, I think you're probably perfectly rating him.
No points in 7 games. Who does he think he is? Elias Lindholm?
Right?
Am I right?
Yeah.